All right, let's jump right in. We're in the middle of this massive shift in how we think about healthcare. Forever, it's been a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. But what if we could tailor medicine directly to you, to your own unique biology? It sounds like science fiction, but that future, it's getting here a whole lot faster than you might think. And, to really get our heads around this, we can actually go way back to ancient Greece. This quote from Aristotle, it absolutely nails the big idea we're talking about today. It's not about looking at one little piece of your health in isolation. It's about understanding how all the pieces of your biological puzzle fit together to create the whole picture. For too long, we've just been looking at one or two pieces at a time, and that's exactly the problem. Think about how medicine has worked for most of history. It's been reactive, right? We wait until we feel sick, we drag ourselves to the doctor, and then we try to fix what's already broken. It's like trying to do maintenance on your car only after it's broken down on the highway. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And this whole model of treating instead of preventing, well, it's just not very efficient. It's not just that it's less effective, it also means we're paying these incredible costs to treat diseases that have already reached a late stage. And maybe the biggest problem of all? It totally ignores the fact that every single one of us is biologically different. So this is where we see this huge change in thinking. We're moving away from that old, reactive, one-size-fits-all world. The new goal, the new vision, is called precision health. And the whole idea is to flip the script entirely, to go from reacting to sickness to proactively predicting and preventing it, with a plan that is built just for you. So how do we actually do that? How do we make that leap? Well, there's a quiet revolution that's been building for years. It's powered by some truly mind-blowing technology that lets us look inside our own bodies with a level of detail that, it was literally science fiction just a generation ago. The engine driving this whole revolution is a term you're going to hear a lot more of: multi-omics. Basically, it's the toolbox for precision health. Instead of just looking at one thing, like your genetics, it combines multiple layers of data, all the ohms, to create this rich, dynamic, moving picture of what is happening inside your body in real time. And look, this isn't just some theory or a far-off dream, it's happening right now. And the reason it's happening is that the tools we need to gather all this data, from DNA sequencers to supercomputers, are getting better and cheaper at a truly breathtaking speed. Just get a load of this. Back in 2000, to sequence the very first human genome cost billions, with a B, billions of dollars. Fast forward to 2022, about $100. That is an absolutely staggering drop, and it makes that foundational blueprint of our health accessible to almost everyone. And it's not just our genes either. We're seeing the exact same trend with proteomics, the study of all the proteins that do the work in our bodies. In 2006, an analysis would have set you back over $3,000. By 2021, under $400. The trend is crystal clear. These tools are becoming radically cheaper and more available. This timeline really puts the sheer speed of all this into perspective. Just look at how the breakthroughs start to stack up one after another. It's like a snowball effect. What began with the basics of DNA sequencing in the 70s just explodes in the 2000s and leads directly to the wearable sensors that many of us have on our wrists right now. Okay, so I've been talking about all these omics and these different layers. So what are they really? Let's break it down. An easy way to think about it is like you're building a house. You're going to need the main blueprint, the daily work orders, the building materials, and a way to monitor the whole project, right? So here's how that toolkit builds on itself. It all starts with genomics. That's your body's permanent blueprint, your DNA. But you're not using the entire blueprint at once, so transcriptomics tells us which pages of that blueprint are being read right now. Then, those instructions go to the construction crew, which is proteomics, the actual proteins and machines being built to do all the work. All that work uses fuel and creates exhaust, and that's what metabolomics measures. And then, wrapped around the entire project, you've got wearables, giving you that constant real-time data feed on how the whole system is running. Each layer adds a whole new dimension of understanding. Okay, this is where it all comes together, and this is where it gets really cool. Because when you stack all those layers of information on top of each other, you stop just collecting data, and you start discovering these truly life-changing insights. So what can we actually find out? Well, we can start to predict our own personal risk for diseases years, maybe even decades, before we'd ever feel a symptom. We can find unique biological markers that apply only to us. We can reclassify diseases into much more specific subtypes, leading to better therapies. And we can finally understand on a deep level how our own bodies respond to food, exercise, and sleep. Let me give you a fantastic example of this in action. the idea of glucotypes. So instead of just saying your blood sugar is good or bad, we can now identify your unique personal pattern of how you process sugar. And what that means is we can finally get away from generic diet advice and move to nutrition that is truly personalized for your body.
And if you think that's cool, it gets even more profound. Scientists can now identify what they call ageotypes, the distinct ways different people's bodies age on a molecular level. Are you the kind of person who ages because of inflammation, or is it more metabolic? Knowing the answer could unlock personalized strategies for a longer and much healthier life.
Let's bring this right down to earth, to something many of us are using every day. That smartwatch on your wrist? It turns out the data it's collecting, your heart rate, your skin temperature, can actually detect the body's response to an infection, like COVID-19, before you even start to feel sick. That is literally what prevention looks like in the 21st century. Now, this all sounds pretty incredible, right? A total paradigm shift. But we have to be realistic. The road to making this the new normal for everyone, well, it's not going to be perfectly smooth. There are some very real, very big challenges we still need to figure out. So what are the big roadblocks? Well, first, there's the initial cost and the need for specialized equipment. Then there's the data itself. We are talking about absolutely mind-boggling amounts of information that need to be stored and analyzed correctly. And running through all of it are the huge, critical questions about data privacy, security, and of course, ethics. Who owns your data, and how is it used? But here's the good news. Even with those hurdles, the momentum here is pretty much unstoppable. The costs are continuing to fall, the technology is getting smarter every day, and the general consensus among experts is that by 2030, this multi-omics approach is going to be a fundamental part of how we practice medicine. So let me just leave you with this final thought. We got used to our watches counting our steps. Then we got used to them tracking our heart rates. The next great leap isn't just about tracking what's happening now. It's about predicting what happens next. So what if the greatest tool for staying healthy isn't a new drug or surgery, but simply understanding the incredibly complex and unique biological story that's unfolding inside of you right this second? The data's there. We're finally learning how to listen.